WellCare and Wellness Wednesday. I'm Jett, one of your 2020 Kentucky Derby Festival Royal Court Princesses, and today I'm joining Venita Burnett. She's one of the JCPS teachers, and today we're going to share with you some of these non-traditional instruction tips and tricks, while Kentucky and Indiana are calling it NTI. So if you'd like to share with us some of your something about yourself, Venita.
Absolutely. Hello, and thank you for having me here. Again, I am Venita Burnett, and yes, I am a teacher for JCPS. I am currently a resource teacher at Greenwood Elementary. This is my 14th year teaching. So I've taught third grade, fourth grade. I've been an interventionist. In the last 3 years, I was a STEM lab teacher at Blake Elementary. And so this year I transferred to Greenwood Elementary as a resource teacher for them. I am not from Louisville. I am originally from Cincinnati, Ohio. I moved down here a few years ago with my daughter, and then I had my son. So I have 2 children. My oldest is Jordan. She is a senior at Butler High School. And then my son, he is a 6th grader at Du Bois Middle School.
Well, very cool. I'm looking forward to hearing your perspective from your parenting side and your teaching side. So
Absolutely.
with that, how have your kids been set up during these last few months, and what would you suggest to other families and students with how they should set up their workspace?
Okay, so my topmost advice is to set up a place that's comfortable for your students. Don't try to keep up with the Pinterest-worthy workspaces that you see floating around on social media. Set up anywhere. Anywhere is better than not having a place, a steady place for your students to study or to do school at throughout the day. So for me and my household, our place would be the living room. And I chose the living room because it's not a high traffic area, even though it's the first room we walk into our house, but we don't use our living room because my students' kids, my kids live in their own bedrooms. We all live in our bedrooms. Our TVs are there. Our technology is there. So our living room is the least place that we use. So that's why I chose our living room. And then I had to choose a place that also had a couple of outlets for my students, for my children, to be able to plug up their devices. So just keep in mind that your place doesn't have to be this big place where you have to decorate walls and have all that busy work or distractions on the wall. It can be a simple corner. My daughter has a wall in the living room, and then my son has another wall set up in the living room. As far as trying to make a desk for your students, you don't have to go out and buy $200, $300 desk. A simple folding table in your kitchen chairs will work. I know my kids, they have folding tables. My daughter has a regular height slim folding table, and my son, he has a shorter children's folding table that he slides his gaming chair up to because he likes to sit low and stretch out closer to the floor. So that works for our kids. As for also make sure that wherever you're setting your place up at, that it has a strong connection to the Wi-Fi. I originally wanted to set them in the back of the house toward the den, but then I noticed that the Wi-Fi wasn't as strong and we needed a connector, and sometimes the connector isn't connecting. So that's another reason why I chose the living room, because it's closer to my router, where we get the most Wi-Fi in our house. Again, my advice is to keep it simple. A lot of my kids' supplies I got from like literally the Dollar Tree or the dollar store. Just want to make sure you have the basic things that you need in school. Again, it's according to the age and grade of your students. So those basic things, like, first of all, don't forget an outlet and extension cord. That is so important, because I can't tell you how many times I've been in class and my students like, my Chromebook's gonna die. And I'm like, well, plug it in. So some people don't think that you need to have those things ready for those instances. So then your pencils, pens, extra erasers, your crayons, color pencils, glue, scissors, notebooks, and or loose leaf paper. We use both in our house depending on the subject and what the activity calls for. your glue, your scissors, folders or binders with dividers. So some people like to have separate folders for each subject. I'm one of those people. Some people like to put their things in binders with dividers. That would be my oldest daughter. And then some people like to have the accordion folders. That doesn't work for me. It's too much for me in one spot. But for some people, it works to have everything in that one little container and they can easily get to it. Definitely a calculator for math and maybe a ruler. A wall calendar is very, very important. And I'm going to show you, I use this dollar store wall calendar. This is what my kids use to keep up with what days of the week it is. I know that sounds so silly, but
no, it doesn't.
Have red days, white days, blue days. That's my daughter. My son has blue and orange days. I can't keep up with the colored days. So all we do is take these calendars and color code them or write them in. And that's how we keep up with the days. But then we also have a student agenda. We've tried so hard to use that same calendar, the wall calendar, to keep up with assignments. It just wasn't enough space to write everything that we needed. So I ordered some student agendas and that helps keep us organized a whole lot better. Headphones are really important. If you just heard me over there, tell my son to make sure his headphones are in so that I don't hear his class and his teacher teaching and my daughter's in the other. I'm using her space right now, but now she's in the kitchen in her space. And then I'm trying to teach and we're not distracting each other as much. And then finally, containers to keep your supplies in. You don't have to spend thousands of dollars on these containers. Like I said, I shop at the Dollar Tree all the time. I use the dish tubs, the dish pans is where we keep our things in. And like for the pencils and pens, my son, we went in the kitchen cabinet, got one of his character cups that he doesn't use anymore. And that's where we stick his pencils and pens and everything in. And it works just as well as a $10 device.
No, this is wonderful. Thank you so much. That was very helpful. I guess you've already talked a little bit about the challenges you've had with organization or just Wi-Fi connecting problems. But if you could share one of your main challenges and then a way that you have coped with it or a way that you would suggest others to cope with it.
Okay. I would say my main challenge and probably the challenge of most parents, teachers, and students out there doing NTI is time management. I can't tell you how many times I've cried over not being able to figure out how to do everything and get everything in. So this is where that grace comes in. You have to give yourself grace, but you have to stay organized and use a calendar like your wall calendars or the student agendas. Use those faithfully. Don't try to remember things. Times are different. We used to remember everything that we have to do, but because NTI can change in a moment, or a teacher's not available here and you have to move something around, it is so much better to use a calendar where you can pencil in things and erase and move as you go. Set alarms for class times. You might hear my son's alarm go off here in a little bit for him to go to class. I tell my elementary students to set their alarms for the time that they have small groups with me. They tell me they set it on Alexa. I don't have an Alexa, so I don't know how that works, but they use Alexa, their cell phones, their iPads, whatever gadgets that they have, set multiple alarms at the 5 minutes before your class starts so that you can get logged in, ready, and prepared to be there. And I make sure I title his alarms for the name of his classes. And my daughter helps him set his alarms up as well. And I think she has his alarms on her phone as well to help out. So use your other siblings to help out if you have more than one student in your house. And probably have a consistent dedicated time of the day to work on assignments that's not finished in school, because you need to give your students breaks between classes if their schedule allows. I would not suggest to keep making them work and sit in front of that screen. I would suggest to take breaks so they can come back refreshed and they are able to finish more of their classwork and not be so dragged down by being tired from the last class or being tired from staring at the screen for such a long time. And then probably with time management, if you're having a hard time, please communicate with the teachers. They understand. Most teachers are parents as well, and we are all just trying to keep up and make it. Communicate with them and let them know that you're behind in this, but give them a date. I'm gonna work really hard to get this turned in by Friday or Saturday. Is that okay? And I can almost guarantee you that teachers are more than willing to work with you if you communicate with them and let them know what's going on.
Yeah, no, thank you so much. And you already mentioned you've given yourself some grace, and that's what you just need to do during this time. So, what ways could you make NTI more fun for you and the students? What would you suggest to them to just break up the day? You already hinted at it a little bit, but what else would you suggest?
Definitely, I'm going to say this again because it is so important. Give yourself grace. This NTI process is hard for everyone, even the best of us. We have multiple degrees and we are still struggling trying to figure this out every day. Every day is different. So parents, students, teachers, try to be slow to anger and slow to get frustrated and just realize that we're all trying to make it. So be easy on yourself, be easy on your students or your kids, be easy on the teachers as much as you can. Something fun that you can do is take breaks as a family. That's one of our favorite things to do. So when you look at everybody's schedule and you try to find those times where everybody has a break time or a lunch time, a brain break time, and try to do something away from the computer, like take a walk, make a snack together. Our family, we like to dance, play the game, so dance and listen.
That's fun.
Yes, just something that gets your mind that you're not really thinking, but you're having fun and you're relaxing your brain before you go on to your next half of your day or the next section of your day. So try to find that time where your family have those break times in common and come together and do something fun. Another thing I know that stresses me out is remembering to feed my kids, because at school, the cafeteria takes care of that. I don't need to worry about feeding them. It's in our schedule. So me being a teacher, I have to remember that it's kind of my responsibility to feed my kids. So if you pack your lunches at night together and then have those lunches and snacks ready, which I'm still working on this, I'm not perfect at this either, but if you get it together at night and then let the kids know this is where this is, go in the refrigerator during your lunchtime or during this time to get a snack, then that will make life so much easier for you. And you don't have to stop in the middle of your meetings or your classes with your students to attend to making them lunch.
Well, Venita, thank you so much for sharing with us. And I enjoyed listening to you. You literally sound like Superwoman and all the other teachers out there with you. So I applaud you for all that you're doing for our community. I guess to our viewers, thank you so much for joining us for another WellCare Wellness Wednesday.
If you are a former or current smoker, there is a risk for lung cancer. Don't leave your health blowing in the wind. Baptist Health can help determine your risk and bring you peace of mind. Take our lung cancer risk assessment.